when we started first growing, which would have been early 90s, prices were high. It was hard work. Had to hide it all, but man, it was gratifying. You work hard. You get a harvest, even if it's just a few pounds, or I remember my 3 friends and I harvested 16 pounds, so we each got 4, and I mean it was selling for $4,000 or $5,000 a pound. So we were probably 18 years old, so like $15,000 or $20,000 cash, in October, November. I mean, we went snowboarding. We bought like used Toyota trucks. We might have gone to Mexico or Costa Rica. Like, we lived it up.
Yeah.
And that was like, wow, we can't wait to do this again next year. So that was fun, just because that was our time in life to be doing those sort of stupid and sort of fun things. And then, as we got older and the laws evolved, I remember in this exact spot, putting my first like probably 10 plants the first year, and then like 25 plants the second year in full sun, with one of those couple of those red crosses, just to let them know this is a medical marijuana garden. Like, I mean, people, we did silly things. I mean, that doesn't hold any weight. But
I had a 6-foot.
It's like good to disguise like yourself
in your psychological mind, and who knows, maybe that passing helicopter is like, oh, he's probably got a couple medical prescriptions like tacked to that thing, and that's, you went to the local doctor, you gave him $100, he wrote you out a script because weed helps you go to sleep or whatever, pain, and you put your plants in full sun. It was a formula. We all did it. It was like amazing. And then like, we started growing plants that were 2 or 3 pounds each, as opposed to getting 2 or 3 pounds off of a whole guerrilla garden. And we were like, holy shit. And genetics changed through that, because the ones that thrived in the shade, which we had been breeding for, like the best strains that would still produce under the canopy, like they might grow too big of buds and they would all mold. Like things shifted with the out into the sun. And we went to our guerrilla garden spots because we already had our water lines set up and our fences, and we moved the guerrilla garden from under the tree out into the meadow and put 10 plants. Because is it really legal? Is your doctor's script really real? Is everything really are you really following all the rules? No. But if everyone else in the community is doing the same thing, that helicopter or that surveillance, they can't get all of you. And if you've got 10 and your neighbor's got 20, well, they're going to go get his. And somebody's going to put 100 out there because they're just balls, or just cuckoo. There was this Rasta guy down the hill who bought a property, and I mean, Rasta guy is a stretch, but he was like dreadlocks down to his ankles, came from like Sacramento, Oakland, and he like came into the community and just rubbed everyone the wrong way. But he was a weed freaking, what do you call it? Like, he put 100 plants out in front of his house, and they came and took it. And he was like, he was out there yelling at them the whole time. They drug his ass to jail. They cut his plants year after year as like, this should be my legal right. He had issues with his like scoliosis or something real. There was all these stories. This guy, he actually, unfortunately, he passed away, and nobody really knew why. I think it was like a weed deal gone bad. I actually think he got murdered. But while he was here, it was like all his neighbors were bummed because they were right near him, and the cops were going there every year. And from up here, I could see when the helicopter was circling his place. I could go out on a vantage point and be like, oh, they're back at Chris's, Chris Giac.
Some growers would paint more of a target on their backs than others. There's great stories. I mean, they came to take his plants, and he knew they were coming, and he's like, well, if they come inside my house, they're gonna have to have a warrant. Okay, they had a warrant. They came inside his house. He said he stripped off all his clothes, so they had to like arrest him naked, and he had like garbage bags full of trim, and he just like started like throwing them everywhere. He's like, you want to take my weed? Clean it all up yourself, And yeah, here I am, like, you know,
For you to look at.
like the guy was
Ballsy.
was
Yeah,
nuts.
ballsy.
The character was nuts, but kind of a local hero after you know, after the initial like, his immediate neighbors suffered though, because there was always going to be. He was a magnet, and so if they were doing anything, proximity, right?
Yeah.
We were.
The other thing they do too is if they were coming for one person and they had some extra time on their hands, they go to whoever is near.
Yeah.
Our farm got raided twice, 2 years in a row. They left everything behind both years, which was crazy because they didn't have enough time to ship it all out. But right across the river from us was this massive illegal grow. So they'd come to Busfish Creek and they're like, "Hey, we got 2 extra hours. We'll drop a dude right there in that beautiful flat field and we'll take those ones too." And then, 5 o'clock would hit, it was ending time, and they were just like, they'd just chop it all down and then take off.
Yeah.
So it was like,
Sometimes they
Yeah.
left portions of people's crop, and no one knew if that was because they were lazy or because they were like, oh, maybe it's job security. Maybe leave them enough, they'll survive to grow again, and we'll come back if we want to again. Like Salmon Creek was always one of the places they came. There was always somebody or a handful of people that got busted every summer in Salmon Creek. And it was almost like they would make a statement in our community, like, haha, we're, you can't get away with this. Some of you will, but, and then they'd go to Eddersburg, and they'd go to Bryceland, and then they'd go to Whale Gulch, and then they'd go over the hill to, Alder Point and Harris. And like every community of these back to the land hippies would get targeted. And it was almost like they knew what they were doing. It was strategic.